Hello everybody, this is Sheldon St. Clair on the Project Management Today show. This has been hosted on the Inspire to Achieve Global TV channel, which is broadcast around the world. Okay, welcome for joining me. Now last week Wednesday I believe, or 2 Wednesdays ago, I can't remember, I discussed the 12 qualities or the 12 characteristics that good project managers should have. Now today we're going to talk about leadership. Leadership in the context of project management. However, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in a work environment, if you're in a non-work environment, leadership skills, leadership disciplines is useful for you to know, for you to have. Okay, I've been doing a lot of reading today, so I hope you've all got your pen and paper ready. Now, in order to read, I've got one of these. I started wearing glasses about, it was February 2016. I remember the date well. So yeah, I'm wearing glasses now, so I'm sweating as well. It's embarrassing. But I haven't got my libations actually. I haven't got tea. I haven't got coffee. I haven't got anything. So okay, right. Ta-da! Okay, so that's me. Okay, so we've got 20 minutes to go through leadership skills. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so yeah, okay, so I'm reading out now, yeah. So being a leader takes courage, discipline and determination. Whilst being a leader can also bring success, but it can also it comes at a cost in terms of judgment and in terms of being overwhelmed. A lot of people are frightened of this title, leader, or even manager, or even supervisor. You're out there, your head is above the parapet, and it can be frightening, it can be fearful sometimes. But if you learn, if you study, if you understand what leadership is, it makes it that much easier for you. Okay, I'm going to read some quotes, 3 quotes, and this kind of like talks about why leadership is important. Yeah. So firstly, this is by a gentleman called Kenneth Blanchard. You know, kind of famous motivational author. I think a lot of you kind of like have read his books, or should have read his books. Okay, so what he says is as follows. The key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. We're now in 2018, not 1918 or the 50s or the 60s or the 70s or 80s or 90s. I think nowadays the organizational hierarchy is a lot flatter. We're looking to empower people more, to get more out of people. And lots of companies are actually kind of like getting rid of middle management to make the structure, which was like this, like that, make it all flatter. That means that kind of like leadership is something that's going to be thrust upon all of us, or a lot of us. So it's something that you will be practicing in a more explicit way going forward, if you haven't been already, if you're not in that environment. So leadership is not going away, it's here to stay. Okay. My favorite, when we talk about, when we think about terms, we think about different people. So when I kind of like hear the term motivation, I think about Les Brown. When I hear the term leadership, I think about John C. Maxwell. So I got one of his quotes as well. Okay, so what he says is, people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision. It's very important. So how are you perceived by people? How do you perceive yourself? I mean, there's a notion about kind of like faking it until you make it, but certainly, I'm not quite sure I agree with that, but certainly, put some here somewhere. Yeah, so certainly people will look at what you do, not necessarily before they look at what you say. So in order to be a leader or kind of act in that role, or tell people what to do, you've got to look the part, you've got to dress the part, you've got to be, do and have. Okay. And the third quote, the final quote, is by John Quincy Adams. I think he was an American president or vice president, wasn't he? Okay, and he says, if your actions inspire others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and to become more, then you are a leader. And I think in project management, that is kind of like what we aim to do, because by motivating people, by inspiring people, by empowering people, you get them to accomplish their goals, which in turn accomplishes your goals. I think I was reading something by, I think it was Zig Ziglar. That was it. Yeah, I think it was Zig Ziglar. He was a salesperson, but I came across him via Amway actually. But yeah, so I think he wrote a famous book called See You at the Top. But he kind of says that if you kind of like can serve people to achieve, I'm paraphrasing, if you can inspire people to achieve their goals, then you will achieve your goals, or something like that. Okay, right. Okay, so that's really the why. Now, in terms of when, leadership is practiced 24/7. It's done all the time. You know, you must kind of like live and breathe it. And so it's kind of like what you can actually do is work out what kind of leadership style you are. Okay. Confession time, I wasn't always, well, not actually. I'm not a great leader. I'm not a great leader. I'm trying. I'm not a great leader. I've got kind of certain personality traits that I'm working on. And we'll kind of later on, we're actually going to go through a checklist of what kind of like makes a good leader. And you can see how you kind of like, it's a bit of a mess, isn't it? You can see how you match up against that. Got time's running out, so let me kind of like speed up. Yeah, so in terms of leadership styles, you've got the manager style, which is very much authoritative. Do this, do that, do that. You've got the consultative style, where you're consulting with people, you're getting people's opinions, you're getting feedback. You've got the participative style, where you as a leader get your hands dirty, you participate, you actually do the work, which is what I like doing. So I think in terms of styles, I'm probably a manager. I do this, but I like to get involved as well. And then finally, you've got the facilitator or facilitative style. And that's kind of like really where you coach, you facilitate, you get people together, you kind of you convene meetings and you talk, and you perhaps kind of like collaborate and network and get people together. Yeah, yeah, networking and collaboration. That's kind of like another kind of like as a cousin to being a good facilitator. So those are kind of like the various styles of leadership. And I suppose kind of like the key for you is to work out what you are now, but where you want to get to, and therefore what is the path to get from where you are now to where you believe you'll be more effective and more efficient in terms of where you need to be. Okay, right. So in terms of the how, I want to go through about 6 points. If you've got kind of pen and paper, please kind of write these down. Glasses are slipping. I told you I don't like these. Okay, so to be a good leader, this is my kind of checklist for 10. Okay, so to be a good leader, you need to be capable of the art of delegation. Now, I think kind of like for me, one reason why perhaps I didn't delegate as much as I should have done is because I didn't trust people. Perhaps I didn't trust myself. I certainly didn't trust people, which is probably because I didn't trust myself. So, it's a circle, isn't it? But you need to be able to delegate more. You can't do everything. And you don't want to do everything, to be honest. Because if you're managing and you're inspiring, you're leading and you're giving the vision thing to lots of different people and lots of different groups and lots of different teams, you want to clone yourself, to be honest. You want to have one of you or someone like you or someone that can see what you see in all the various teams that you manage. And therefore, you need to create leaders. Now, sometimes that could be quite scary as well, because you're thinking, well, if you kind of like create more leaders, aren't you undermining your own position? Are you going to be kind of like deposed? Are you going to lose your job because you're creating people that can do the same thing as you? But here's the trick. Sometimes by giving more, we actually receive more. Sometimes by kind of like letting go of a lot of your skills, a lot of your knowledge, you're actually emptying yourself to receive a different set of skills, a different set of knowledge. You actually rise up. which is kind of paradoxical, isn't it? You think by giving out things that, you know, you're going to be replaced, but sometimes, oops, sorry about that. Sometimes by kind of giving out things, you receive more because you're learning more, you're studying more, you're networking more because you've got more time to do those things. So whilst people are doing the work and getting to become better leaders, you're kind of like getting more information to give to them. It's a win. It can become a win-win. Okay. Secondly, point 2, leaders are leaders are constantly improving themselves. Yeah. So I mentioned that I mentioned it before, and that's kind of like one thing you've got to do. You read books, YouTube, read articles. There's lots of white papers on the internet now that you can read about the art of leadership, the skills of leadership. What does leadership mean in 2018? Because what leadership meant last year or the year before or 5 years ago is redundant. So again, going back to delegation, you're giving out information and knowledge and skills and tools which have been acquired over the years. But a lot of that's redundant now because there's new ways of doing things. So if you give out the old, it frees you up to receive the new. Okay. Point 3, leaders pay special attention to your resources. Resources help you to succeed. The more resources, the better quality resources you have in terms of money, in terms of people, in terms of equipment, in terms of products, in terms of services. As a leader, how are you managing your resources? Do you know what your resources are? I think kind of like last week or previously, I've talked about asset management, or that's it, stakeholder management, where you're kind of like listing out your stakeholders and information about them to see whether they can harm or hurt your project. Well, are you listing out your assets as well? You know, who can help you? You know, what do you need in order to be an effective leader? Okay, again, this is from a project management perspective, but hey, this applies to you know, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a business owner, whether you work, whether you're an employee. Being an employee is a great way to become a better leader because there's no expectations on you to start off with. You're doing your job. You're here, or here, or here, wherever you are. But you can acquire skills to actually move you up. You've got the time to do that. You've got the time to do that. Okay. Point 4, I'm going to expand upon this, but there's a new train of thought that says leadership is all about service. I'm going to read something here. It is about providing guidance and counselling and looking after your team's interest in order for your interest to be looked at. But we're going to go into that in a bit more because that's kind of like really the key of this message, this broadcast today, about leadership being about service. I think you can, you know, read if you're a religious person, you can read through the religious books, really, well, whatever religion, and it does talk about service. To lead is to serve. To lead is to follow. Yes. And that's kind of like with the flatter organisation, with the empowering organisation, that's what it's about now. It's no longer authoritative about you do this. It's how can I help you achieve this, which achieves what I want to do. Okay. Right. Point 5. Leadership is about keeping your eyes on the goal, keeping your eyes on the purpose. As a project manager, your purpose, your mission, your vision is about achieving a project, achieving a program, balancing a portfolio, leading a team. What is your goals? What are your purposes? What are your objectives? Have you written them out? You know, are they kind of like stuck on your fridge or your desk or your screensaver or your wall or in your bathroom? Do you look at that? Do you embrace that? Is that in your subconscious where this is kind of like what I'm here to do for this period of time? And I'll be passionate and assertive and do what I can to deliver that. Not necessarily walking over dead bodies to achieve that. But, you know, this is what I'm focused on. Yeah, as a leader, as a project manager, as a business owner, have you got that kind of up there and foremost and forefront of your mind? And then point 6, leaders are, point 6, leaders are concerned and responsive to problems. This is about decision making. Yeah, leaders have to be effective and good decision makers. Yeah, your role above the parapet is kind of like, there's lots of, the buck often stops with you. People will be looking to you for the vision, looking to you for the mission, looking to you for the purpose, looking to you to solve problems, to solve their problems in order for them to move forward. Yeah, as a leader, you have to develop that skill set. There's lots of information out there, and there's courses and there's seminars and there's workshops out there. So it's not difficult to learn how to be an effective and an efficient decision maker. Just look at the time running out. So you've got to keep your eye on the prize. So going back, this is probably an exercise kind of like for you to think about. And for you, and for you to start doing, really. So going back to point 4. So the 6th point is about being an effective leader. My checklist: delegating to capable leaders and developing capable leaders. You're constantly improving yourself as a leader. You spend special attention to your resources, whatever they may be. It's all about service. Point 5: keeping your eye on the prize. And then point 6, you're responsive to problems, great decision maker. So going back to point 4, which is leadership, all about service, I suggest that you produce, we call this, in project management, we call this a balanced scorecard. But what I suggest is that you just kind of like note down the 10 things I'm going to give you, and on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself. Okay. Normally, kind of like the reality is always 1 less than the figure that you give, to be honest. We tend to be very optimistic people, but optimism isn't always realism for now. It's for the future, but it's not always for now. Okay. So the 10 things you need to rate yourself against in terms of, in terms of leadership being about service, how would you rate yourselves against these 10 things? Being self-aware. Okay, this is within yourself, knowing who you are. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself? Being humble. As I say, there is a saying that says absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yes. So how humble are you as a leader? What comes out of your pores when you walk around? Are you arrogant? Are you aloof? Are you aggressive? Do you abuse your power? Or have you got humility? Are you humble? How would you rate yourself? Because again, to be a great servant, you've got to be humble. Okay. Have you got integrity? Which is a big one. If you look at kind of like a lot of politicians out there, and a lot of business leaders, to be honest, in the UK and even in the US, people are going to jail left, right, and centre for financial fraud, for misleading people. You can read it in the newspapers. So integrity is a great trait to have in terms of being an effective leader and also serving people. Are you results orientated? Is your eye on the prize? Point 5, have you got foresight? Do you get the vision thing? Do you understand that the vision thing is very important to set the culture within which your team work in, the environment they work in? Okay. Do you listen to people? I wasn't always a good listener. In fact, people will tell you only now that I'm still not a good listener, but I understand that now. Do you like the sound of your own voice? Do you kind of like use people's words in order to spring back to them what you want to say? Do you just kind of like give out feedback without receiving feedback? Yes, are you a good listener? And listening and understanding is brother and sister. You can't listen effectively unless you understand, really understand, deeply understand what has been said to you. Okay, point 7. good leaders in 2018 try not to abuse their authority, try not to abuse power. You know, in different environments, it can be hard. That can be hard because, as I say, you know, the buck stops with you. You're above the parapet. You know, a lot of people want to do that to raise their head above the parapet, but those that do, power can be intoxicating, and as a leader, you have power. Do you abuse that though? Point 8. Good leaders collaborate. Good leaders network. Good leaders look for the connectivity between people. Look for the connectivity between themselves and people. You need to be a good collaborator. I think in the old days, ladies looked to lock themselves in the corner office on the top floor of an ivory tower. Nowadays, leadership like management is about walking around, you know, kind of getting a sense of your people. Are they motivated? What do they need from you? How can you tell what they need from you unless you're actually down there in the trenches talking to people, listening to people? Okay, point 9, leaders coach. Leaders, as a leader, part of your role is to develop other leaders. Is to kind of like look down at your team and say, okay, then who amongst my team, who amongst my colleagues can I raise up? Can I empower? Can I enable? Can I coach? Can I mentor? Can I train? Okay, as a leader, you must be constantly on the lookout for that because you need to develop capable leaders. You know, you've got to spread yourself as thinly as you can. Your sphere of influence has got to increase. And finally, you've got to resolve conflict where possible. Now, one reason why I say I'm not a really good leader is that you know, sometimes if you inherit teams, you sometimes feel, well, hey, I'd like to sack you. You're not my kind of person. You know, you don't listen to me. You don't do what you're supposed to do. I didn't choose you, I didn't select you. It's like a football manager, you know. If you look at, say, Mourinho joined Man United, you know, he probably wants to sack all of his team, and he can't. You know, he's got to play with the cards he's been dealt with. You've got to work with a team of people that you've inherited. So rather than cry about it, okay, then how can I get them to see what I see? And therefore, as John Quincy Adams said, if your actions inspire others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and to become more, then you are a leader. That's kind of like what you can do. Okay. Now, what's the kind of like the payoff for all that? Well, the payoff for that, all that, is in terms of stakeholder management. It feeds into that. You know, your senior managers are inspired by you. They have confidence in you. They trust that you will do what you say. People will be motivated to try harder and to achieve what it is they're out to do. And again, from a project management's perspective, the culture can change. Okay, I've run out of time now. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found this useful. If kind of like you've got any questions, then please kind of like comment, please like and please share as well. Next Wednesday, I will be looking at project management, but looking at project management from an events management perspective. If you're running an event, if you're running a workshop, if you're running a seminar, I will give you kind of like some tools, some thoughts and ideas in terms of how to produce a project plan, how to produce a Gantt chart, how to produce a schedule to deliver your next event, workshop, birthday party, Christmas party, seminar, or whatever it is that you're looking to do, an exhibition. So I'll help you kind of produce a Gantt chart to do that. But for now, this is Sheldon St. Clair, your host today for the project management show on Inspired to Achieve Global TV. And today we spoke about leadership. Okay. Goodbye. Have a great Saturday and take care.